Welcome to the motherfucking lady. We're covering today's top boxing news.
Okay, we'll start with this. Our continued coverage of this past weekend's melee at the Gina Carano versus Ronda Rousey fight, where Claressa Shields and Alycia Baumgartner minced words and Claressa slapped Alycia, leading to a lot of talk, a lot of conversations. Dez Bryant, who was rumored to have had a romantic tryst with Alycia Baumgartner, he had his own thoughts on it, his own insights. Without being direct, he said, "I remember you trying to explain to me about someone you don't like without a legitimate explanation. I remember telling you how much you two actually influenced each other. My suggestion was that you should hash out your differences and come together to build." He's talking about Alycia, but I don't agree with the perspective that those two influenced each other. It sounds like something an outsider would say. It sounds like something that somebody who doesn't actually keep up with this sport would think. But Dez continued, "My suggestion was that you should hash out your differences and come together to build, because your community was niche with potential. You hated the other person so much that you went and signed with people you don't like to try to one-up somebody you're extremely jealous of." You must be talking about her signing to MVP. "You've literally been provoking this person, trying to assassinate her character. You are the furthest thing from pushing women's combat sports forward. You are a hypocrite, delusional, and an overgrown child." And he said this about Alycia Baumgartner, most of which you've already heard said about Claressa Shields, that she's a hypocrite, that she's delusional, that she behaves like an overgrown child. The truth is somewhere in the middle. For context, Dez Bryant knows Alycia Baumgartner on a personal level, a romantic level, so why would he be of the opinion that she's jealous of her? Well, if I had to take a crack at it, if I had to guess, it's because Alycia doesn't like her. And you know that as soon as you don't like somebody in this postmodern day and age, they call you a hater. You can have your reasons, but that is people's go-to, their knee-jerk reaction to when one person doesn't really like another, and they don't necessarily have a reason. The thing is, Claressa's the same way with other people. Dez Bryant is saying that Alycia is that way with her, claiming that Alycia is the jealous one. But is that the case? I remember shortly after Alicia's big win over Mikaela Mayer. Mikaela, who's supposed to be good friends with Claressa Shields. They came up in the amateurs together. Claressa and Mikaela. They're supposed to be good friends, where Alycia and Claressa never had that history with each other. But shortly after Alycia beat Mikaela, who do you start to see Claressa palling around with? Alycia. I mentioned this in passing years ago when I first noticed it. I wonder how Mikaela Mayer feels about Claressa palling around with the woman that just beat her, the bad blood between Alycia and Mikaela. How does Mikaela feel that Claressa's rubbing elbows with her now? Where Dez Bryant thinks that Alycia is jealous of Claressa, I think it's the other way around, and I think that's why that started. She likes to attach herself to people when they're doing well, and I'm not the only one that noticed it. She's a clout chaser. As soon as Alycia Baumgartner becomes the boxing world's darling, the boxing world's sweetheart, here comes Claressa Shields to bask in her light. Maybe that's what Alycia doesn't like about her. I noticed that early on, and I'm not the only one that noticed it. Veteran gossip columnist Tasha K recently pointed it out when it comes to another woman boxer.
Now, I'm about to get a little messy though. I wouldn't be Tasha K if I didn't. Now, I saw Claressa congratulate Krishan on her new deal. You know, because Claressa just signed a fake $8 million fight deal that Papoose can't pay because he owed the IRS. I saw Claressa thank her, which is very sisterly. But I have a feeling that it's not going to last long. This niceness from Claressa. I ain't got a picture up because this ain't her moment. This is Krishan's moment. I have a strong feeling in my recollection, in my spirit of all spirits, that Krishan is about to dominate in boxing. She could go either way. She could go women's boxing, UFC. I know she signed to rubber boxing, but she could go either way. She can street fight. She could do UFC boxing because she fights without, gloves and stuff like that, and she knows how to tussle and all that there. And then she can box. So she could go either way. I got a feeling that Claressa is finna get a little jealous when she sees Krishan.
This is an established pattern. Don't you notice that Claressa Shields has had a love-hate relationship with Amanda Serrano? First it was love, then it was hate. It was the same with Alycia Baumgartner, and now Tasha K speculates Could be the same with Chrissy Rock, a reality TV star that's just endeavoring into boxing and just had a successful pro debut. Who happened to be there for it? Claressa Shields. Almost like she's gatekeeping the women's boxing space, popping up all over the place to attach her name to whoever's getting attention at the time. It was Alycia Baumgartner before, it was Chrissy Rock now. So where Dez Bryant is of the opinion that it's Alycia who's jealous of Claressa, I still think it's the other way around. And I think that Alycia would have picked up on that a long time ago, and that's what she doesn't like about Claressa. She can sense she's a clout chaser. Now, there are widespread reports from outside of the boxing space, from those in the know when it comes to the music industry, that the deal she just signed, worth an estimated $8 million?
The one I told you was a lot of bullshit.
Rumor has it that that $8 million deal is contingent upon not just a boxing career, but her budding music career. To get that dollar amount, she's got to move a certain number of units, go on tour, the way a recording artist would.
Like her boyfriend, the recording artist Papoose, who is said to have facilitated that deal, and I don't think that's a coincidence.
As he is said to be taking on a managerial role in Claressa Shields' career, making money off her, but there's only so much money that she can make from boxing, as she doesn't have the broadest of opponent options, and forget about her music career, people barely want to hear her talk, much less rap over a beat. So you see the both of them crashing MVP's party in a manner of speaking, because she doesn't even like MVP as a promotion or most of their stable of fighters, so what the fuck is she doing there? Looking for clout.
Dez Bryant says that Alycia is signed to a promotion that she doesn't even like.
What do you think Claressa's doing showing up to all their shows, all their events? She doesn't get along with Jake Paul, the co-founder. She's been having a go at him for 5 going on 6 years. She's minced words with Amanda Serrano.
She's trashed most of the MVP stable, yet here she is at an MVP event.
For what?
None of your friends were fighting that night. It was an MMA card. You weren't there to promote women's boxing. You were just there to be seen. There to be there, where Alycia was a guest. As an MVP fighter, she had every reason to be there, but Claressa?
What the fuck are you doing here?
Right before the main event, they pan over to all of the celebrity guests that were ringside. Anybody from Tommy Lee to James Cameron to Carmen Electra, all of these somebodies, but who they didn't mention was Claressa Shields. So I'm of the opinion that if MVP were the ones who invited her,
I'm not sure they were.
wouldn't they have taken the time out to mention her as one of the celebrities in attendance, seated ringside? I didn't even know she was there until news broke about the melee.
Doesn't really add up that Alycia would be the one jealous of Claressa when it's not Alycia trying to bask in Claressa Shields' airspace, trying to attend the same events as Claressa. She's not the one attending Salida Promotions cards.
Shit, even Claressa doesn't attend them shits.
It's Alycia Baumgartner who you see more often than not rubbing elbows with celebrities from outside of the boxing space, more than Claressa, and most of the attention that Claressa's gotten in recent months due to her relationship with Papoose has been negative. Outside of the boxing space, she's become a bit of a laughingstock. So for Dez Bryant to be of the opinion that it's Alycia who's jealous of Claressa,
Sounds like something a tourist would say.
somebody who doesn't really pay attention, and why would he? He probably doesn't keep up with the sport of boxing or any of these stories as much as I or you. He's got other things to think about, but it does sound like something a tourist would say.
Factor in that he had a romantic tryst with Alycia Baumgartner that didn't work out, so there could also be some hard feelings there that motivated these comments. When he calls her a hypocrite, delusional, and an overgrown child, you get the impression that their relationship didn't end amicably.
So he's gonna frame all of this a certain way just based on how things ended and what his feelings are? I don't agree with him. You don't need to be an expert in the sport of boxing to know that one of these fighters has more crossover appeal than the other. One of these fighters is more marketable than the other.
I mean, Dez may not realize that for the 2 gold medals that she won in the Olympics and all of the belts that she's won in the paid ranks, Claressa still doesn't have any major sponsors or brand deals, which is peculiar and indicative of her lack of crossover appeal.
Surely a fighter that accomplished would be a spokesperson, an ambassador for some major brand, but she is such a hot potato, nobody wants to touch her with a 10-foot pole.
There's nothing to be jealous of there. Nobody wants to be in the position that she's in.
I recently heard Alycia say that while Claressa Shields may be the most accomplished fighter in women's boxing, she's not actually the best fighter.
To a tourist, that might sound like jealousy. To a tourist, that might sound like hate when it's an honest evaluation of a fighter who picked up most of her belts because nobody was holding them. But do you think Dez Bryant is aware of how many belts the sanctioning bodies gift-wrapped and made available to Claressa across how many weight classes? 3 vacant ones at heavy, 3 more at middle, and 3 more at junior middle. So when they're sending you belts that way, of course you're the most accomplished fighter. It's very easy to be undisputed when you do it that way.
And I just don't think Dez Bryant understands that. Men's super middleweight news: newly minted IBF champion Osley Iglesias senses that Canelo Alvarez will avoid fighting him. On the latest episode of Inside the Ring, which debuted Monday on DAZN, the IBF super middleweight champion said he's hopeful that Alvarez will fight him, though he doesn't expect that opportunity will ever come into fruition. A potential bout between the Iglesias and Alvarez could be a unification bout if Alvarez can beat WBC champion Christian Mabili in the main event of a ring card September 12th in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. It's complicated with Canelo, Iglesias said. Canelo would not want to fight me. I would hope that he would give me the fight and allow me to demonstrate that Cuban fighters, and more specifically that Osley Iglesias, is a different breed.
It being that the last Cuban fighter Canelo Alvarez fought, William Skull, spent the whole goddamn night running from Canelo and not engaging him.
Iglesias, 15-0 with 14 KOs, became the IBF super middleweight champion with a dominant 8th round stoppage of Pavel Sulyagan on April 9th. The 28-year-old Cuban southpaw, the ring's number 2 ranked super middleweight, has won his last 9 fights by technical knockout or knockout and has quickly become viewed as the bogeyman of the division because of his imposing size and punching power. Mabili, who like Iglesias, is represented by Eye of the Tiger Promotions, was elevated from interim to full WBC champion earlier this year. He'll make his first world title defense against Canelo. The 31-year-old Mabili, a native of Yaoundé, Cameroon.
Damn good fighter.
Canelo Alvarez will fight for the first time since his loss to Terence Crawford when he battles Mabili. The 35-year-old from Guadalajara, Jalisco, Mexico, underwent surgery on his left elbow in October, which will extend his layoff to almost exactly 1 year. Alvarez, ranked number 1 in their division by the ring, is a 4-division title holder and has twice been the undisputed champion at super middle. Mabili is the ring's number 3 ranked super middleweight. Iglesias finds the matchup between Alvarez and Mabili intriguing because of their contrasting styles. He also believes Mabili will fight like someone who knows the stakes of the opportunity in front of him. It's an interesting fight, Iglesias said. Mabili is more combative and Canelo is more selective, looking for his opponent to make mistakes, and he's also shifty. It's an interesting fight. I know Mabili is hungry, and I know he's looking to come out on top and take advantage of his opportunity, because it's not something everyone gets the chance to do.
Underneath it all, I believe that Iglesias is actually rooting for Canelo Alvarez to win because, let's face it, even though Christian Mabili is his stablemate, you won't make the money unifying with Mabili that you could unifying with Canelo, though of course, Iglesias doesn't expect the fight to happen.
He expects that Canelo Alvarez will avoid him on the premise that he's so physically imposing and he punches so hard. But you know who else is physically imposing? You know who else is a tall, long fighter with a hard punch? Hamza Shiraz.
He's going to be boxing this weekend for the vacant WBO title. I expect him to win it. And if Canelo beats Christian in September, I expect Canelo to fight Hamza Shiraz thereafter.
The way it is for Canelo, as soon as he decides to fight a live body, that's as soon as another one starts calling him out. It's never enough, and it never ends. Thus is the case when you're the money man of the division, even without a belt.
So would you guys out there hold it against Canelo Alvarez if he doesn't fight Osley Iglesias? If he fights Christian Mabili, beats him, then follows it up by fighting Hamza Shiraz?
You're gonna poo-poo on those 2 potential wins because he didn't fight Osley Iglesias. The truth is, I don't expect Canelo to fight Osley Iglesias either, but not because he's so big or he's so dangerous, because he's not known.
Guys all the way up there in Canada, doesn't have any signature wins over any familiar faces. Maybe he should get some. I'm not even proposing that Canelo not fight him. I'm just saying that he might not because most people don't know this guy. I'm talking about boxing fans.
You could fight a Hamza Shiraz. That poses a similar challenge to what an Osley Iglesias would pose, but there's more money in it for you and a brown belt.
Anything that Iglesias brings to the table, Shiraz brings to the table, with Turkey LL Sheik attached.
I think that Osley Iglesias finds himself in a compromising position, not just because he's a physically imposing heavyweight that maybe a lot of fighters don't know about and aren't in a hurry to fight, but also because he's IBF champion. And the thing about fighting for the IBF, if you do, you're subject to a weight cap.
Most fighters don't want to have to deal with that. You often hear it said that it's a bunch of unknowns in the IBF's rank standings, irrespective of the weight class. But that's why, because most fighters don't want to be subject to a same-day weigh-in.
It's a gift and the curse with the IBF and going that route, because if you go that route, so long as you keep fighting and you keep winning, you'll get your crack at the apple and you'll get your IBF title. But once you do,
there's gonna be some guys, they ain't gonna want to fight you because they don't want to deal with the same-day weigh-in.
Now, as we all know, in the event of a unification, when a champion fights another champion, that weight cap, it is waived. It is lifted.
So what champions want to fight this guy?
Hard to say, because it's as much Hamza Shiraz's intention to fight Canelo as it is Osley Iglesias. They both want the same thing. One guy's just more well-connected. My opinion, I would not begrudge Canelo Alvarez not fighting Iglesias if he fights Hamza Shiraz. If he beats Christian in September, then follows it up by fighting Hamza, that would be two unbeaten champions, back to back. And I'm supposed to complain?
I'm supposed to give that guy a hard time. As accomplished as he already is in his mid-30s, still fighting bigger, younger fighters and unbeaten champions. I'm sorry, but the standard that Canelo is held to is unrealistic. They don't expect this much of any other fighter, but they expect a whole lot from him.
Of course Iglesias would like a Canelo Alvarez fight. He's the money man at the weight. I don't even hold that against him, but at the same time, I don't expect Canelo Alvarez at this age and at this stage in his career to fight any Joe Blow that calls his name, that calls him out, even when that Joe Blow's got a belt.
He's a four-weight, former unified middle and two-time undisputed super middleweight champion. You gotta give this guy a break.
He hasn't even come back yet and they're already forming a line.